All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Mirella Shaban. I am your instructor for Geographic Information Systems, EVSC 3020 and 5020. Welcome to your course. This is an introductory course, and how I like to typically start off is going through the syllabus. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up, and we're just going to have a quick discussion on your expectations for the class, typical kind of deadlines, and just where you can find some information that you're going to need for the course. So you will have access to my email as well as your grader's email directly at the top of your syllabus. Your grader this semester is Vidushi Sharma, and you can access her by just copying and pasting that email as well as my own. Our course dates are going to run from the 13th of July through the 6th of August, and it is a fully asynchronous course. In the past, I've offered this course as an online synchronous course, but for the sake of a lot of you who have internships as well as jobs during the summer, we've decided to switch this over to an asynchronous format to make it the most accessible. So at the beginning of the course, I would like all of you to already have your lab workbook. This is going to be the lab workbook that you're using. It is version 3.4 of GIS tutorial for ArcGIS Pro. So if you do not already have this, please go ahead, copy and paste this into a browser and purchase a copy. You can also use inclusive access through UVA to get a copy of this. That is completely up to you, whether or not you want to get your own copy, whether or not you want to use inclusive access. If you choose to use inclusive access, please make sure that you check the Canvas page. I do have some details on there of when you need to opt in or opt out of using inclusive access. As a UVA student, you actually have to opt out. It is a mandatory thing to opt out if you do not want to use the workbook. Otherwise, you will be charged. That is something I don't have any control over. You are going to need to communicate with inclusive access directly with any issues or questions you have pertaining to their workbooks and their structure. So, kind of getting into a bit more of the actual meat of our syllabus now. I have a few paragraphs here that we'll just kind of browse through. The goal of this course is to introduce you to fundamentals of GIS. This is an introductory course, not an advanced course. So you are getting a little bit of a taste of everything in our intro course. We're going to be talking about data models, georeferencing, datums, coordinate systems, and a variety of other things, vectors and rasters, things that you will need to essentially understand if you want to continue further on with GIS. Again, we are fully online and asynchronous, and we are subject to alterations during the session. As we go through, if I notice any problems that many students are running into, if I notice any issues with a particular video that I may have recorded in the past, or if I feel the need to record a new video, I will give you guys a heads up by using Piazza or the announcements on the Canvas page. So please make sure that you are looking at announcements and you're looking at the Piazza pages ideally daily, so that you can stay up to date with any changes or alterations that I make to the course. Everything is going to be due, meaning assignments and tutorials, as well as your final project, by the second to last day of the course. So again, our last day of the course is actually going to be the 6th. I'm expecting you guys, I'll go through this lower on in the syllabus, but I have a certain date for you all where the expectation of all tutorial and assignments submitted should be done, as well as your final project. Because this is an asynchronous course, I allow you to resubmit assignments and tutorials as many times as you need to. After the first submission that you make for a tutorial or for an assignment, if you choose to resubmit, please email me and Vidushi, your grader, and let us know that you resubmitted. It is your responsibility to let us know that there is an additional submission of yours that we need to look through. Otherwise, we may not see it. So again, please keep that in mind. If you ever resubmit anything, send a quick email to the two of us letting us know so that we then know to go back and regrade for you. Because of the access to resubmissions and your deadline being all the way at the end of this course, I do not accept any late work. What that means is that if you don't have everything submitted in terms of tutorials and assignments by August 5th, I will not be accepting that. Of course, if there are some extenuating circumstances that you know about prior to this deadline, if there's some sort of an accommodation that you need, please email me directly. We can discuss and see what that will look like for you. But otherwise, this is a firm stop date. So please keep this in mind as you work through your materials in this course. Typically, you'll also receive feedback on your assignments within about 24 to 48 hours. Of course, there's a little bit of grace with that. You may get feedback within a few hours of a submission. You may get feedback within 2 to 3 days. If there is something that you have noticed has not been graded that you feel should have been already graded, please do email me and your grader. Let us know, draw our attention to it, and we'll revisit that. So in this course, you are graded for about 4 things. You have your tutorials, your assignments, your Piazza posts, and your final project. We'll get down to that in a bit. Other things that you are going to be graded for are the use of a proper naming convention, which is available on the next page of the syllabus. And we'll also, of course, grade you for things such as aesthetics, if there is anything missing within your folders, kind of common sense objects, which we'll continue on to discuss. This is a course for both EVSC 3020 as well as EVSC 5020. And I follow the typical semester-based structure for this course, where the distinction between 3020 and 5020 will be your final project work. If you are enrolled in the 3020 section, your final project must be done as a group. Typically, it is 4 students. Of course, if we have some odd numbers, we'll play with this. But there is no option if you are enrolled in the 3020 section to do an individual project. So please, from the jump, keep this in mind. I will be giving you all access to certain pages on Piazza to find team members as the semester carries on. But keep it in your heads from the jump, 3020 must work within a group for final projects. 5020, the requirement is that it is an individual project submission. So as a graduate student or a 5020 student, you are not able to do work in a group. There is another tutorial / video that's already been filmed to teach you all how to access ArcGIS. I have filmed this specifically using remote apps as I use a MacBook, so please keep in mind that if you need kind of an introduction as to how to access ArcGIS, the tutorial that is already on your Canvas page will lead you through that. If you want to download ArcGIS directly, you will go to the same website that I kind of pinged for you on remote apps. You will just scroll down a bit further to actually download ArcGIS itself. Any issues that you have with the actual download or access to ArcGIS, whether it's on your desktop or whether it is actually through remote apps, those questions need to be directed to UVA ITS, because I do not have access to the back end of things with UVA IT and ITS, so please keep this in mind as well. Moving forward to our actual grading structure in this syllabus, you'll see again you have these 4 main groups where you will be assessed on your knowledge of GIS. The very first thing is tutorials. You will see tutorials throughout your workbook. So I'm going to go ahead and share a different screen. This is your workbook. This is GIS tutorial for ArcGIS Pro 3.4. And you'll see over here, I'm over here at part 1. This will kind of introduce you to ArcGIS itself, and then it'll also jump in directly to tutorials. So anytime we ask for a tutorial submission, you can focus on your workbook here, and you can focus on these sections that tell you tutorial 1-1, tutorial 1-2, and so on. I recommend that you read through each section, each chapter. However, for submissions, you are only required to submit what is asked of you in your assignment pane. So here on Canvas, I'm in the 3020 section right now. The 5020 section will look exactly the same. You will jump over to assignments and you will go over to tutorial 1, for example. Here in tutorial 1, I'm asking for all tutorial screenshots from chapter 1, aside from anything related to 3D maps, ArcGIS Online, or story maps. For the entirety of this course, I do not require you to do anything related to 3D maps, ArcGIS Online, or story maps. So I'm repeating that one more time. At no point in our course do you need to complete anything regarding these 3 topics. Coming back to Vital Source, we see here that we want all tutorial screenshots from chapter 1. So you'll see we have tutorial 1-1, and it'll walk you through how to do that. Then there are your turn sections. This is where I want you to take those screenshots. Once you do the your turn option, you'll go ahead, take a screenshot of that, and you'll move on. You'll see that there's still a bit more to do over here in 1-1, and there's another your turn. Take a screenshot of this as well. As you continue on, you'll see we have tutorial 1-2 as well that teaches you some additional things, your turn section, tutorial 1-3, and so on and so forth until you get all the way to whatever the end of this section is. So you'll see you have, I believe it is 4 screenshots at least, depending on the amount of your turns in each section that you will be submitting for this assignment. You are only taking screenshots for tutorials, and please pay attention to this. Tutorials require only a screenshot of the end result from each your turn section or whatever we specify we want the screenshot of. Your assignments are different. The assignments will require you to compress or zip a folder and upload all of that material to us. Tutorials are only based on completion, so did you complete it or did you not complete it? If you submit a zipped folder to a tutorial, we will not give you points. We will let you know to resubmit it as a screenshot, and then we can give you your point for completion. But keep this in mind. We will do this so that we make sure we are able to grade you all efficiently, and we also make sure you're doing the work and you're doing the work properly in the most simple and streamlined method possible. So coming back now to the syllabus, you also have Piazza posts. So because of the requirements for entry to this course, I do believe everybody should be familiar with Piazza. If you are not, you are able to access Piazza directly through your Canvas page. And the way that you do that is you scroll around, you search for it, and you see Piazza over here on the left-hand side. Now, apparently, I'm not graduating right now. I wish I was, but we'll move on. When you open Piazza, you're going to go ahead and see that there may already be, there may already be posts that are here for you to read through. Go ahead, open those, take a quick look at them, see what is relevant now, and see what you maybe want to hold on to later. You'll notice that you have folders for every chapter / subject that you're going to go through in this course. So for tutorials and assignments in chapter 1, you'll have this folder, homework 1, to post in. You'll click new post. You can say if it's just a question. If you have a tip that you want to give, something that you did in an assignment that worked for you, or something that you noticed is an easy mistake to make, you'll just go ahead and put it as a note. And then you'll say to post it to the entire class. You'll select which folder it is relevant to. So in this case, it is just homework 1. Then you just give us a summary, a title of what it is. You give us the details, and then you'll go ahead and post this, okay? So that's how you work with Piazza. My recommendation for Piazza is that you post both a question and an answer or tip every day. That is essentially what we look for. We grade Piazza points at the very end of the course so that we can kind of see your overall statistics and your overall average. If you miss one day, that's fine. You can make it up the next day. You don't need to email us and let us know that you're doing that. We are able to see what you guys are doing on our end. But again, if you have a tip or a trick or just a note to make, that counts towards your Piazza points. And in addition, when you have questions about your tutorials and your assignments, the expectation is that you post it to Piazza. Instead of emailing it directly to me and or Vidushi, you will directly post a question on Piazza. This way we don't have a repeat of the same question within, I think right now we have 37 of you enrolled. Instead of having multiple students send us the same question, you can put your question in a place that all students and instructors are able to look at, and then any answer that we give you, everybody else will also be able to see. This is also important because later on, if you forget how to do something, you can scroll back through Piazza and see if an answer is already there for you. So please keep that in mind. If you have any personal questions, of course, email the two of us individually outside of Piazza. But anything related to software, hardware, tutorials, assignments, final projects, anything that is actually relevant to the meat of this course, please post it in Piazza first. Then we have our assignments, and your assignments are the bulk of your grade. This is very intentional because I do believe you learn the most through actually working through assignments. The tutorials will set you up for success as they will kind of guide you in where certain tools are, what certain tools do, and what outputs will look like. My recommendation in this asynchronous course is that you complete a tutorial before you complete that same chapter's assignment. Of course, you can do this in whatever method you please. You are responsible for your own organization in this course. My recommendation, though, is that you look through tutorials before you do the assignments. There's plenty for you to learn in those tutorials that will apply directly to assignments. So you are able to, of course, access assignments in the same area. It will be under assignments here on your Canvas page. And it's also important for your assignments that you open up the submission page before you do your assignment. The same thing for tutorials where we give you instructions for what we want. We also do this with our assignments. So you'll see, I give you guys a note for your first assignment to notice that the first step regarding your project is to rename the project. It's important and it'll apply for all of your future assignments as well as your tutorials. So you'll see very briefly here that we have the naming convention on your syllabus highlighted and in large text. If you ever forget what that naming convention is, you can go to your syllabus and it'll be right there for you. You are going to be asked to submit a zipped file for your assignment. So anything that you need to add to this, such as an image or a Word doc or a PowerPoint, you need to have inside of the folder before you zip it. It's very important that you also do not delete anything in your folder that is originally there. There is going to be another video that goes a little bit more into organization, but I do emphasize this point. When you download your data, whether you download it directly from VitalSource or you download it from our Canvas page, in your assignments, there are multiple folders. Some of them are .tbls, some are .aprx, some are the geodatabase itself. Deleting one thing can corrupt absolutely everything in your assignment. So rather than delete things, only work with the things that you were asked to work with, such as your map files, which is the .aprx, or any screenshots, Word documents, or PowerPoints that you create. Those you can rename. Those you should rename and you're expected to. Other things, just leave them there. To zip a folder, you right-click on it, you go all the way out to where everything is contained within a folder, you right-click, you hit Send To, and you select the compressed or zipped folder. Then you take that, and that is what you upload for your assignments onto Canvas. For Chapter 1, you have the option of completing either Assignment 1-1 or Assignment 1-2. Choose between the two of them. You can read through the assignments and select which one you feel best about. Keep in mind that they may ask you for a screenshot, they may ask you for a PowerPoint or a Word document. We are using 3.4 this semester, so, or I guess this summer session. So please read these instructions and then go ahead to your assignment and read the instructions that they give you. A typical rule of thumb is that if I have included something on your assignment submission page as an instruction, that will trump whatever is in your actual assignment instructions in that Word or PDF document. So please keep this in mind. I may ask for additional things in this submission page. It is in your best interest to read this, then go over and start your assignment. And you will have 9 assignments total. That is because we do not do anything with Chapter 8. Chapter 8, I believe, is working on 3D models. We just don't have time for that. We do not do Chapter 8 during typical fall and spring semesters, so we definitely don't have time to do it in an abbreviated summer semester. You're welcome to work on that on your own if you would like, but it's not something that we have a submission page for. Finally, everybody has their final project, which we discussed 30-20 and 50-20's differentiation through it. Your final project is the second highest graded object throughout your course, and it's worth 30% of your grade. There is going to be additional information on your final project later on in this course, so it's not something I like to harp on in the syllabus video. Just keep in mind that, again, as a 30-20 student, you have a group to work with, and as a 50-20 student, it's individual work. Essentially, what the final project is just it's a project about whatever you would like it to be, whatever topic you would like it to be, that showcases your understanding and use of GIS tools from the course. That is all that we look for. We essentially are just trying to ensure you have understood the fundamentals of GIS and you can showcase them through whatever topic of your choosing. So again, tutorials in Piazza are only graded for completion. Submit only images of the maps for your tutorials, and assignments will be graded for accuracy. So submit one zipped folder including all necessary components, essentially anything it comes with and anything you have to add to it. And then final projects are graded via their rubric, which is at the bottom of the syllabus. Now, we mentioned a naming convention, and this is your naming convention. It will always be here for you to look at. The way that your naming convention should be for any map file, any zipped folder, any PowerPoint, any Word document, or any screenshot is your last name and your first name, underscore, assignment, or tutorial, number dash number. So if I was submitting assignment 1-1, my naming convention would be Shaban Marella underscore assignment 1-1. You don't have to change. You don't touch the kind of the endings of documents or folders. What is it? Windows will automatically do that for you. So these are just kind of giving you a heads up of what types of files or folders you need to do a naming convention for. But this isn't something that you add. This is just something that clues you to go ahead and add a naming convention. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, we will give grace on naming conventions. After those two chapters, you will have a point docked if you do not use your naming convention properly. Again, you can resubmit. So if you get a point docked, you're always able to resubmit your assignment. Give us an email, give us a ping to let us know to regrade it, and you can get that point back. But save you the trouble and to save us the trouble as well, I recommend building the habit from the forefront. Now, we also have your honor policy as well as your SDoc accommodations put out on the syllabus. I highly recommend that you read through these. The environmental sciences honor policy essentially says that you won't use old work towards this semester or towards the work in this class. I will say it's typically pretty difficult for people to do that because we now have a new workbook. And in addition, it is pretty easy for us to tell when people are cheating because, it's computers and there's a lot of tracking that you can do with that. So you are more than welcome to work with other students on your assignments, but the assignment that you submit should be your own. So again, I am a big fan of group work and kind of coming together and doing things as a team, as long as you are coming away with the information and the knowledge that you need. You cannot, though, have 2, 3, 4 people working on one assignment and have those 4 people submit the same exact assignment. You are each expected to complete that assignment on your own computer and have your own submission. In terms of SDEC accommodations, I, like many, I think, professors at this point, do not require SDAC to reach out to me for an SDAC accommodation. If you have a disability or you need a certain accommodation, please just email me. Let me know what it is you need. Me know what it is that you are requesting, and we'll see what we can work through. It is a summer session, so of course we have our start date and our end date. We have our deadlines. I've tried to make this course as accessible as possible by making it asynchronous. But even with this said, if there is anything that you need, any sort of an accommodation that you need, please reach out to me and Vidushi as soon as possible so that we can set you and ourselves up for success in this. So now that we've gone through this, we have a recommended schedule on the syllabus as well. Now, again, it is an asynchronous course, so this is just my recommendation as your instructor if I was you in the same position trying to work through this course. You'll see that for the first 4 days, I recommend that you work through the first section, which is essentially going through your tutorial videos and your first 2 lectures. You have videos that are they're within the files portion of your Canvas page. You'll see that the lecture topics are logging into ArcGIS Pro through remote apps, as well as lecture 2.1 and 2.2. You'll also have basic organization in GIS and then lecture 1 and lecture 2. Your actual content of GIS information is beginning in lecture 1. All of these videos before lecture 1 are setting you up to understand how to work with GIS, what the expectations are of the class, and what the expectations for organization are. So I basically insist that you look through all of these videos. This is what is actually teaching you the fundamentals of GIS. Then your tutorials and your assignments teach you how to apply them through the software. You'll also see that I tell you what tutorials and what material I'm expecting from you. So you are, for chapter 1, expected to do all 4 of those tutorials, 1.1 through 1.4. For chapter 2, you're expected to do everything from 2.1 through 2.8 for your tutorials. Now, for every assignment, you will only have one assignment to submit, but for tutorials, you may have one tutorial to submit, you may have multiple tutorials to submit. That is based off of the syllabus as well as what is on the Canvas page. As I mentioned earlier, any instructions that I give on the submission page on Canvas will trump anything else that you see. So if I ask for something in addition, or if I ask for something new, please refer to the Canvas page first. And if there's any confusion on that, just post in Piazza a question, and we will make sure that we clarify for you. So you'll see again, we kind of have then a recommendation for what section 2 is, getting through lectures 3 and 4, and also looking at your georeferencing lecture. For chapter 6, you are not going to have a video from me. You are going to be given the slides directly. So just something to also keep in mind. Every once in a while, you'll see that I give you an additional PowerPoint or even an additional video. That is if I see something that I believe you might need more assistance with, if there is a topic that I want to go further in depth on for you. So just keep that in mind as you look through the list of videos for your assignments. If there's something extra there, it's extra for a reason. You'll also have, I recommend that you look through your final project expectations walkthrough. There's a video for this as well as some information on your files under your Canvas page that will give you an understanding of what we look for in the final project. And there'll also be some examples of past final projects for you to look through and kind of get a taste of what we want. By the 22nd, this is when I say you need to start working on your ideas for your final project. So you with yourself need to start thinking, what is a topic I might be interested in? This is where there will be a Piazza post where you can go ahead and kind of share your ideas and see if there are other people interested in what you're interested in, and vice versa. By the 24th, this is when I recommend you start working on the final projects. This is a very quick course. So again, everything is asynchronous, but when it comes to the final projects, I highly recommend that you follow the generalization that I give you here for scheduling. By the 24th, you should have a group. If you're in the 30-20 section, you should have an idea, and you should begin then working towards your final project. You'll see this kind of starts out section 3, which is the end of our course. This takes us through lectures 5, 6, and 7. And then those last 3 days of the course, I essentially just tell you to review your slides and your videos as you need. Now again, the 5th is going to be the very last day for you to submit all of your tutorial and assignments, as well as your final project submissions. The reason that we kind of back it up one day is because on the 6th, which is your last day of class, this is where we ask you all to do peer review. So you will then look at final projects for the other groups and other students within the course, and you will give peer review. We take your peer review and we utilize it when we do our final project grading as well. So on that last day, you are expected to complete your peer review. Then from there, we have about, I think it's 2 to 3 days maximum to submit grades to SIS. So that buffer right there is to essentially give you an entire day to do your peer review and to make sure that by the 5th you have everything you need, and if not, that you reach out and give us a reason as to why to see if we can work with you. Now, with all that said, at the very bottom of your syllabus, you have a general assignment rubric as well as a final project rubric. These are essentially what we base our grading off of. Of course, there's going to be some variation depending on what the assignment is, but generally we put the most of our points towards the actual process or analysis of GIS when it comes to assignments. Essentially, did you use the right tools, and do you have the right answers to the questions that the assignment is asking you? Then we also give a high amount of points to the actual map making itself. So when you make a map, is there a title? Is there a scale bar, a north arrow, a legend? Is the symbolization effective? Is the scale and the extent to which your map is at appropriate? And if your assignment asks you for a layout, is it included in that folder? So again, you'll see areas where it says where applicable. Also, file organization. This is something that I will, as you've already heard from me, I've kind of emphasized and I will kind of continue to emphasize through other videos. You have to make sure that we can open your zipped folder to grade you in the first place. If you make a map and you don't compress it properly, or you don't include everything within the folder that you give to us, we aren't able to see the work that you do. So although this says that the maximum point value is 2, if you submit a zipped folder and we open it and everything is corrupted, we have no evidence to give you points off of. We'll most likely give you a 0, leave you a note to please resubmit properly, and then go back and regrade it for you. So keep this in mind. Although we have kind of a maximum point value here for the rubric, this is at my discretion as well as your grader's discretion. There's also the naming convention, which is a point off after chapter 2. Also, the final project rubric. This is essentially how we ask you all to do your peer review. You will be given a form for peer review for the final project, but this is meant to just give you an idea of what you're going to be assessed on. So first of all, did you complete the project? What was the intellectual merit of the topic that you chose? Did you find some new information, or did you gain knowledge through what you did? Did you utilize GIS itself to get you to those answers or to that knowledge? For your final projects, you don't necessarily need to prove that something is right. You don't need to prove your hypothesis is correct. What we seek is that you utilize GIS to figure out what the answer to your question is, or figure out the result of your hypothesis. We also look at the content, of course, like how did you go about using GIS? How did you go about seeking out an answer to your topic? Was the quality of your presentation good? Can we hear you in the presentation? Are the visuals that you're giving us, or the maps that you're giving us, appropriate for this GIS course? And then finally, of course, the peer feedback that we get from all of you. So take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to both this rubric and your assignment rubric. There's a little bit of wiggle room always, as there are in most courses, but this is supposed to set you up for success in understanding what we are generally looking at when we look at assignments and when we look at final projects. So with this is the conclusion of this video. I ask that you now jump over to your next video, where you will kind of begin the content. I guess after your basic organization, you'll begin looking through how we organize things and then getting into lecture 1. And of course, if there are any questions on this topic, go ahead, post them to Piazza, and somebody will answer you very quickly. Thank you.